last year, I bought a blueberry plant. I put her in a cute little pot. I watered her. I waited, and she gave me nothing. Absolutely nothing. And my first thought was, girl, what did you do wrong? Right? But y'all, that's not what was happening at all. Okay, so around the end of March of 2025, or it could have been the beginning of April. I don't know. It was definitely springtime. Okay, spring has sprung, and me and hubby were inside Lowe's. We were in there for some other stuff, but as we were going through the gardening area, I was like, "Ooh, blueberry plant! I should get one of those." New gardener. So as a new gardener, I be doing that. I be having those heat in the moment things where I'm just like, oh, let's add this to the garden. We eat this, we can grow this. That's kind of a thing for me. So I did that. I was like, oh, let's grab this blueberry plant. And so I did. And I brought her home. And I figured like it's a blueberry. So same thing I did with the strawberries. Should work. Put her in a pot, nice cute pot. Made sure she had enough space for her roots to grow. Watered her, and definitely she's getting good sun, right? Because it's on the patio where the strawberries at. Not too much sun, but just enough sun. So got her in the full setup, just like everybody else on the patio, and everybody started to bloom. Some of them were just kind of surviving and not fully thriving, and then others were thriving. But everybody started to do something except my blueberry. It went from possibility to, girl, is you a stick? Did I purchase the wrong thing? Can I return this to Lowe's? Like literally doing nothing. And then I started to question my ability. Then I was like, okay, maybe you're just a strawberry and cherry tomato type gardener. Maybe the patio is your thing and you don't need to be adding these extra stuff. I started to make it fully about my abilities, because I mean, if I'm doing everything right and still nothing, then it has to be my abilities. At least that's what I was thinking at first. And then I was like, wait, hold on. You got excited though. You grabbed them blueberries and you equated the blueberries to just being just like the strawberries. And so you did everything that you did for the strawberries for the blueberries, but it's called a blueberry. It might be a little bit different. So then I did what I normally do, which is what I've done with the other things in the garden. And I decided to go research. Go look for answers. Yep. All right, so I get into research mode. Yep. I get into full research mode, and I'm Googling, reading all this information, becoming mind blown about how many strands and or types of blueberries there are out there. And I'm so mind blown that I am cross checking the information I'm reading with my AI. I'm literally asking it the same thing that I read just to make sure, because that's how mind blown I am. So in the process, what I learned was I was giving my blueberry plant I gave her the right size pot. I was giving her the right amount of watering, or my watering schedule with her. The patio was a good spot because it was the right amount of sun. So I had those parts set up. The thing that I didn't have set up right was she ain't had no friends. She ain't had no friends. Blueberries need a friend, literally. They just need a friend. And that friend needs to be a blueberry. It don't have to be the exact same type, but it needs another blueberry plant to produce. If I want fruit off of my one plant, I need another plant, and together they will produce good fruit. So that showed me that she wasn't broken. It wasn't just a stick. She was just in the wrong environment, and that stopped me in my tracks. She was in the wrong environment, stopped me in my tracks. I'm gonna tell you why. Hold on. So I'm the type of person, I feel like we can learn from most things. I won't say everything, but I feel like we can learn from most things, most situations. And so this is one of those ones where it literally did stop me in my tracks, because coming to the realization that all my girl needed was, she just needed a friend or two, the right friend. Because I mean, the strawberries were out there, cucumbers was out there, cherry tomatoes was out there, and they were cool and all, but they weren't the right friends. They weren't the right community for her. She needed other blueberries. And I had to sit with that because I started reflecting on myself personally and for the business. And like I sat down deep with this before we even got to recording this whole thing, right? I sat down deep with this because I had to look at, I'll start with business. I was a part of business communities that they just had certain approaches, right? I knew people had friends in business and they had certain approaches that they were following. So I connected myself to that because I'm like, if I want my business to grow, right? I already have the business. I already have, what's the word I'm looking for? I have an understanding of who I am and who I serve. I have products, some tangible, some not, but I have that, right? Products and services. That's what I meant to say. Yet, I don't see the things budding that I feel should be budding if I've been in these spaces this long, right? But the blueberry showed me different because when I took a full look at those spaces that I was in, and I did remove myself, not because anybody did anything wrong, but because I realized that in some of them, morally, it just didn't sit right with me. This is why I never used any of the approaches. So I needed to remove myself from that. And others, it was just like, this is not the way that I desire to grow my business. So this approach doesn't work. So, and there were some other points, but I think you can get it where I'm saying that as a business owner, I was not in the right environment. They were business environments, but they weren't the business environment for me. And I stood out because it's like, okay, you do need to be in the right environment to grow. You do need the right community around you to support and help you to produce that fruit in the business. So that's where you need to transition to. That's where you need to move to. And it's not as easy as a feat as adding another blueberry friend, but with some research, with some research, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And I reflected into my personal life as well. It's like, okay, Mayor, what part of you do you feel is not growing? And what's still attached to that you have outgrown? That's no longer an environment that you should be in. Okay? And so it's one of those things where I came to the point to say, how many times have I tried to grow in spaces that were taking more than they were giving to me? Matter of fact, maybe you might want to ask yourself that. How many times have you tried to remain in spaces that were taking more than they were giving to you, right? Because that's not the right environment. At least that's what I found for me. And so what that also made me realize is that it's not necessarily about me working harder and grinding out and not hustling enough. Girl, sometimes you just need to look around and see if you place properly. You not in the right spot. That's it. It ain't about you needing to necessarily do more. You need to continue to do what you're doing, but you need to be in the right spot to do that. A spot that supports you, that can kind of pull your coattail if it sees that you're drifting, right? And this, okay, I might get a little rambly, y'all forgive me on this, but this goes beyond. This can be applied to any area of my life and yours as well. Like, are you, when it comes down to the parts of you, are you in the right environment? Are you in the right community? So when you think about your spiritual or religious aspect, when you think about your mindset, when you think about your wellness, when you think about financial pieces, like wellness incorporates all of these things. I don't know why I'm separating it, but when you think about your financial wellness, your physical wellness, your nutritional wellness, your mental wellness, your spiritual and religious wellness, because all of that is wellness, because we want it to be on a positive side, not a negative. When you think about those communities that you could be in, or it could be a couple communities that support, are you in the right thing? Do you have a spiritual, religious home that supports you? What's supporting your nutrition? What's supporting your mental? What is your community, your environments looking like? That's what I asked myself. I'm saying it out loud to you, but that's what I had to ask myself. Okay, so that before I head out, here's something that I can't make you do anything, and I don't want you to feel forced about anything. I don't even want you to take this and try to overhaul your life in one day. That's not what I'm suggesting with my ask. I'm just suggesting that you pause and sit with this when you have a moment. And my question is, are you in the right environment? Are you in the right environment, or if you want to use the word community, for the area that you're aiming to grow in? Okay? Because it's not about your ability or your efforts. You probably already been putting in work in what you know how to do for yourself in that area. But are you in the right environment to support you to grow in that area, to produce fruit in that area that you haven't seen it in yet? Are you? Sit with yourself. Sit with yourself a bit when you approach that question and see. You don't have to figure out the new environment if you need one right away. You just need to see if you are in the right environment. So that way you give yourself some groundwork of what forward could look like. And that way you're not beating yourself up about your ability and effort, but just realizing like you might need to just switch up your environment. Thank you for watching. And if you got any questions for me, drop them in the comments. Peace.